Yeah. I'm going to call this council meeting to order. Welcome everybody. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Councillor Barton?
Yes, I have one on one of the resolutions.
Okay.
Do
You have to read it out?
I thought it just would be in writing.
Yeah. But what is your conflict?
Oh, it's, I own a building that I may eventually apply for some of the funding that would be available through that resolution.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Any others? None? Okay. Announcements, I think we start with you this week.
Okay, so there's quite a few things going on. One is on Thursday, March 8th. On Thursday, March 8th, there's a Topics in Seniors Health that my wife and Carly Jensen are putting on. So it's there's a number of different speakers. They're talking about how to stay out of the emergency department or be prepared if you end up there. So that, again, is March 8th at Showbrook. And then Saturday, March 3rd, there's an evening of jazz. And that's across the road at Presbyterian Church.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's raising money for the Music Scholarship Trust. So that's another great event. And again, it's Sonia Week because she's singing in that as well.
I don't have any announcements about Dave's wife, but that's nice nonetheless. I do have a couple. We have the Culvert meeting this Wednesday at the Senior Center at 7 o'clock, so all are invited to that to come out and find out what's going to happen. We have an accessibility meeting here in Council Chambers on Thursday night at 7 o'clock. I would encourage people to come out. It'll be from the Rick Hansen Foundation. And as well, on Saturday night, Councillor Malloy, Mayor O'Connor, and myself went to the Coldest Night of the Year festival. Or it wouldn't be a festival, it would be a fundraiser to help out with North House, which is a hand up, not a handout. So it was very well attended and turned out very, very well. Oh, and one other quick point. I did that polar plunge a few weeks ago, and I got the final total. They raised $14,000
Wow.
for Special Olympics at DRPS. So again, I want to thank Councillor Malloy and Councillor Barton for contributing, as well as the Golf Fund. Thank you.
Nothing tonight? Okay, Councillor Hyatt, anything?
They've already been mentioned, so I
Okay.
will decline.
Councillor Malloy, anything?
No, just it was great to be out Saturday night. That was a great night,
Yeah.
great project, and a lot of hard-working people out there, so it was a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
No, that's great. Okay, delegations. Our first delegation is Tish McDonald, and I don't know when you're going up with Tish, but Tish, would you come up, please? Please turn on the mic. Thanks.
Talk. I kept my notes. I'll stay behind the podium, because otherwise and then I'll talk, and then I'll get off topic, so I wrote it out, except I forgot my glasses. So basically, thanks, and I did small font, look at that. No, it's okay. Thanks a lot for having us here this evening to talk about the Sam Sharp sculpture unveiling, which is going to be taking place on May 25th, 2018. We have a wonderful group of volunteers here this evening who have been working very hard on all elements of the Sam Sharp statue, including fundraising, the design, and the creation of the sculpture, and the unveiling event. Some of whom you know already, and some who will be new to you guys, but all have come together like many others before us, including Alan McGilvery and Ted Barris and Aaron O'Toole, to honor the legacy of Sam Sharp. I'm especially happy, as usual, to have Emma here with us, who's now 18, on board, because as a teacher, you guys know my passion for being able to pass on this stuff down to our students, and yet again, Emma's, I would say dragged, but I sure don't have to drag her around, helping with all this stuff related to remembrance. So happy that she's part of our committee. We also are looking forward to the statue unveiling on the 25th, which is the 100th anniversary of Sam's death, and we hope to honor him well in presenting the statue to our community. Our heartfelt thanks goes out to so many supporters in the community and beyond who have come together to support Sam and his legacy. We know that Sam's statue will remain for generations as a permanent reminder that will help all of us to understand the impact of post-traumatic stress disorder. And it will also be a tribute to one of Uxbridge's greatest citizens, one who, as it says in his epitaph, was a great soldier, a lawyer, a Christian, a patriot, and was well loved by his friends. So as far as the unveiling, I forgot about these. There'll be 3 elements to the event, including a parade, the ceremony, and the community reception. The parade's going to be beginning at 6:45, and they will march from the railroad station up Spruce to Brock, and then east on Brock to where the cenotaph is. Confirmed attendees include the Uxbridge Legion Pipes and Drums, Ontario Regiment, the 76th Uxbridge Royal Canadian Army Cadet Corps, Uxbridge Legion, the Uxbridge Fire Department, and the 20th Battalion CEF Reenacting Group. The Band of the Royal Regiment of Canada has also been invited, and they are just trying to put their logistics together, but man, they are impressive, and they really want to come. It's just a matter of whether they can get everybody together for that. Maybe a smaller group, but that's pretty exciting, so just awaiting their confirmation. The ceremony is going to begin at 7, and we expect a large crowd of dignitaries, military members, and organizations, local organizations, and community guests. A prominent special guest has been invited to unveil the statue, and we are also most excited to have made contact with some of Sam Sharp's relatives and descendants who are very much looking forward to attending. I know Bob has spoken to some of them directly. I've spoken to some of them directly, as has Marianne Bellamy from the Genealogy Society, who's made some contact, and they're actually putting a nice big Sam Sharp family tree together for us. So that's actually been really fun, talking with some of the Sam Sharp members. Our program will include traditional elements of a military unveiling ceremony, as well as a historical overview, that's the teaching piece again, and special music by Bellanova. The reception will take place following the unveiling at the Uxbridge Scott Museum. And even Roger was just kind of mentioning in teeth, we've had all sorts of discussion about logistics and location and all that stuff. The bottom line with going up there, it's a great place to be. We know it's a bit of a distance, and we were concerned initially about whether we would lose people by moving to another site, but the bottom line is we want everyone to come. We needed to have somewhere that would be of the era, where we can really do it up well, and we really want people to come. So that's why we're going to be up there. We're going to hold the Vimy to Juno exhibit, which I'd reserved for the school, and now we're having it up there as well. That'll be in the Scott Township Hall. The Quaker Schoolhouse will hold a Sam Sharp exhibit, and the Fifth Line Church will show a Sam Sharp video. Food and drinks will be served in a tent that will be erected for the event, and this is where there'll also be another informal program. We're in a little bit, just time-wise down here with sunset. We want to make sure we're efficient and just clear down here with our timeline, and then we can get up and do some more informal, more gathering up at the museum grounds. Hosting a community reception after the unveiling was very important to all of us in the committee. It gives us an opportunity to continue to gather, learn, and share about Sam's legacy, and it also enables donors, dignitaries, members of the Sharp family, and community members to mingle and chat, and also where more people can be recognized than is appropriate at the formal unveiling. We really look forward to the local businesses getting on board and schools participating. We'll be encouraging local businesses to decorate their storefront windows in period themes, and restaurants to offer period menu selections. I just happened to be in the bistro, and I mentioned to it the cook, Erin, who's fantastic. Their food is awesome. Sorry, that's what I do. Stay on topic. Their food is fantastic, and anyway, she's really excited about offering a period menu, so that's kind of exciting. Uxbridge Secondary School art students will be assisting with artwork downtown. Drama students are going to be doing living statues down the street, and Vimy students will be involved in the creation of displays for the museum, and also with programming and committee work. Uxbridge Public School students, under the leadership of Lynn Vizard, have already been involved in the creation of our Sam Sharp video. That's where we did our first filming. And Lynn Vizard she's a teacher who has a passion for history as well. So she created a set for me, a fantastic set in her classroom, had 6 kids, permission forms, all that stuff. And Phil and I went over and videoed them recreating what Sam's experience would have been like there. Lots of other community connections, lots have already been made, and we look forward to this being a community commemoration and celebration.
Thanks, and thanks for having us. This is not a new thing. I've been working on this project for about 2 years. The application for government funding actually went in September 2016, but by that time there was already a small model of a statue and the beginning of a groundswell of interest. Here's one that Tish forgot to show, which is the members of the committee, most of whom are here. And this is one more that Tish forgot to show, which is actually the agenda for tonight. No more needs to be said about that. You've all seen this anyway, but finally it's coming to fruition, and we're blessed to have this active and enthusiastic committee under Tish's leadership to plan and organize the official unveiling and related events. And so personally my appreciation goes to all of these folk. And on the subject of appreciation, before I get into Sam, I just want to say many thanks to many people who are involved and connected with the township. Mayor and council, you guys have been supportive from the beginning all the way through. Ingrid has helped enormously with somewhat complex negotiations with CIBC involving liability and leases and God knows what to use their land. Thank you, Ingrid. Ben Kester, bless his heart, stick-handled through the design of the site for the statue that we had in mind. Unfortunately, the site is owned by three parties. Two municipalities and a large corporation. And so Ben stick-handled that through and got the three parties not only to agree to the concept, but also to pay for much of it. So let's go to the sculpture. Let me give you a brief update on how Sam is doing. The sculpture in full-size clay was finished in mid-December, and we trucked him down to the foundry in Etobicoke. Here's loading him into the truck, and we had 4 of what I call the Vimy kids. They probably don't like that term, but some of the students who were at Vimy, and we thought it would be an appropriate send-off, and they helped to heave him into the truck. At the foundry in Etobicoke, they've dismembered Sam. They've taken his head and his hands and his arms and his legs off, and they're casting each of these parts separately. Then they'll weld them all together, and they'll burnish the welds so you can't see the joints, and then finally put the finishing patina on. It's a long process, takes about 2 or 3 months, and I'll be there from time to time to check on quality and progress. And finally, in mid-May, the foundry people will put Sam on their big boom truck, bring him up and lower him onto his permanent home. The other, you've all seen that, that's a small model, one of which will end up here in the township, in the display out there. The other key element is the plaque that will tell passers-by or visitors who Sam was and why he's important. It'll include the story of his life and of his death, obviously, and focus on the message that Sam has for us today regarding PTSD. Here's a version of the plaque that you just cannot read from here. Could you hand one of those to each of the good folk up there? What Tish is handing out is a black and white copy which you can read. The plaque will be cast in bronze. It'll last as long as a statue, and we're talking centuries, not just decades. as you'll see, the plaque includes the not only Sam's life and message, but a list of all of the donors. It was important that this should be included because this was really a stimulus to many people to have their name recognized very permanently. So it was instrumental in attracting funds. Bucks or more, and 36 major donors, $1,000 or more. You will actually see on your copy that I've listed 4 foundation donors, and it's our hope that in negotiations, discussions yet to take place, the township may end up in that category. There will be 2 smaller bronze plaques. One is a mandatory recognition of Canadian heritage, which gave us $70,000. It looks, well, it doesn't look like this. This is it. It's a small bronze plaque that they insist be installed prominently, and of course we will do it. The other will be a matching size plaque, another small plaque, recognizing the CIBC for use of their land, and also recognizing the Uxbridge Scott Historical Society, under whose auspices this whole project has been implemented. The Historical Society and its executive have been really helpful, providing a most efficient treasurer. Lorraine is down there. Providing a lot of fundraising horsepower. The main horsepower driver is Bob Curvin right there. And also providing the necessary charitable umbrella under which we need to operate. Which brings us to financials. I don't know if there are any more slides. No. As you may recall, we were given $70,000 by the Canadian government. We only get that money if we can match it with community funds. I'm happy to report that we have reached our goal of community fundraising and will therefore be able to take full advantage of the government grant. The initial budget for this project was $140,000. To the extent that the community goal of $70,000 may be exceeded, we will have or should have the resources to mount the kind of program that Tish has described and these good folk are planning, and also have some funds in reserve, and this is important, some funds in reserve for future care and maintenance of the statue and the site. Because after installation, the statue will revert in ownership to you, to us, really, to the township. So there will be funds in trust for future maintenance as necessary. As the fundraising results indicate, the reaction of the community to this project has been nothing short of amazing. The resurrection of Sam Sharp has been embraced wholeheartedly by people in our community and others much further afield. There was, for instance, an email came in out of the blue from someone that we didn't know saying, "How much do you need to meet your goal?" We didn't know who it was, but we replied very discreetly, and before we knew it, there was a $5,000 donation. I mean, it's amazing. The pedestal on which Sam will sit, and you've seen it beside the CIBC Bank, is in fact a custom-poured concrete septic tank, filled with concrete and installed upside down, installed by the company who made it with their big crane truck. And when we asked the president of Newmarket Precast Concrete to send us the bill, he said, "No, it's my contribution." And that was a major contribution. So, in conclusion, I just have to say we are really blessed to live in a community that rises to such occasions.
So in relation to your spot on the plaque, thanks. We really feel very strongly that we want your name to be there. And we know you've already been generous in your 2016 donation of $2,000 from your budget of that time. But we would appreciate your consideration of further in-kind donations to reach the foundation donor level. I sent an email a week ago with an attached letter, and now we send it to Ingrid and the mayor, and then we have copies for everybody else too for your discussion. But basically it's a list, it's a brainstormed list of all the things that we could think of that perhaps relating to workings of the township that can be considered in-kind donations, so we can have your name on the plaque as well. So that's what I'd like to further some discussion with, not even right now, but following up with some email conversation and some personal conversation about how we can make that, how we can work that out between us. And then, just in the essence of time, the plaque is being sent to the Foundry on March 9th, which I know isn't very much time, but that's kind of why I wanted to get the letter off to you to initiate some discussion, and would welcome some further discussion in person or by email over the next few days. That would be awesome. And in closing, taking on a community task such as this is such a large task. But in the book, the 116th Battalion in France, the adjutant says, Sharp was untiring in his energies on behalf of his men. So I think we too must be untiring in completing our tasks related to remembrance and how we honor our men and women who went before us to serve our country. So I think that's what this is about.
Thanks very much, Trish. Tish. I call her one thing and she goes by another.
That's all right.
I say R and she doesn't use the R, so anyway, thank you very much for both of you for your presentations this evening. We are amazed at how this thing has rolled out from the very concept to now almost its completion. I'd just like to say that what I would recommend to council tonight is that we do have your letter. It is part of our agenda tonight. Okay. That we receive the letter, refer it to staff, because there's many things in here that you're suggesting in kind that in fact the municipality would have to go out and purchase ourselves. We don't have an electrician, as an example, to do any work that would need to be done at the museum and that sort of thing. So I think in fairness, how we deal with this is we get our staff involved in it and then come back to us so we know what we're looking at, because we in fact have not budgeted anything for this, so we need to work at it as well. And I'm sure that that is going to be able to be achieved, but we have to give them the opportunity to come back to us and tell us what's going on. Also, the museum grounds, their budget, I just got an email from one of the staff people up there, Tish, and it says that that they're on a very tight budget. They want to support this, but they need some time. And instead of giving space away, anyway, we need to work with the museum. Okay, we have a brand new curator who I just met last week. So we will certainly do what we can, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. So you'll do that motion? Okay, yes?
It's just an amendment that we ask staff to report back by the 5th of March. Obviously, the 9th is critical, so we need to report back by the 5th.
Right, okay.
So your staff reports to you by the 5th, and then will one of you guys, like how will that then?
That will be, although it's not a council meeting, it is a committee meeting, but not very, well, I don't know of any time that when we've had a committee meeting anything's really changed. So I would suggest that we came back with a positive, you want to speak, obviously. Go ahead.
I just, there's two things. There's going to be the cost but the second part is whether or not council's prepared to make this a committee of council, because that's how we need to deal with the insurance. And if you don't make them a committee of council, then they are a group without insurance. We can't just say, process for us to do that, and the question then becomes ensuring the parade, ensuring the event, ensuring the alcohol. We need direction on that as well, because if you can make a decision on that tonight, that will help us to streamline what costs you're prepared to enter into. If you're saying the parade is going to be what you're prepared to put under our insurance, then we can look at the parade costs. If you're saying that you don't want to be responsible for a liquor licensed event as council, then we should know that.
And
Just Mayor O'Connor, I'm not so
You
sure.
can't speak.
and sorry, just on
Mayor
the,
O'Connor, I'm just not so sure that we can do a liquor event, so that's something I don't, is it
But
gone?
yeah, no,
I
you know
think-
what, even between the time that the letter to you and even further discussion here, the liquor can go off the table, 100%.
That's
Yeah.
great.
It just
And
makes it better all the way around.
I knew that that's what she was going to say. No, you weren't. Oh, 'cause I thought that probably you could work that under the Legion, the liquor license.
Yeah, we're gonna leave the liquor license. Now, I added the parade. I think I added her, don't think, I added Cheryl if she was allowed to answer questions when I'd put it on my thing to council, so is she
Oh.
allowed to speak?
Okay.
Like I'd said, Wynn and
I need a
but,
motion to allow Councillor Malloy and Councillor, yeah, but we'll refer the motion that we've got, okay? Well, Dave. All right, so, you've got Councillor Beach and Councillor Malloy to hear Cheryl Hodgins. No, because we might change it, so we'll just. Okay, so we'll get rid of that then. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Malloy, Councillor Beach have a motion to hear Cheryl Hodgins from the Legion. Cheryl, come on up. Yes, I will vote on it. All those in favor? Carry.
I just wanted to let you know that the parade itself is insured through the Legion. That's why we opted to be the one to look after the road closure and everything. We have our insurance already back. It's covered.
That's awesome. And alcohol is off the table? Okay. Okay. So that's two major things that, have been addressed already. Councillor Burton.
So, I would make a motion that we make this committee a committee of council so we can move forward with ensuring the event.
We don't have to insure the event unless are we insuring
it
the
goes to
museum
prevention.
ground? You want, okay. So we have a motion.
Well, it's,
We have a motion by Councillor Barton that we make this a committee of council.
but, yeah, sorry, and only if we have to, if the advice from Ingrid 5 minutes ago was that this needed to be a committee of council. So
Now
with
these
these
are off
two,
the
do we have to
table,
do anything
so
else?
You know what, why don't you hold that motion until the 5th, until we know exactly what we need to do, or
I'm
what
totally
we're,
fine with that, thank you.
okay?
I'll
And
withdraw the
then
motion.
we can make a motion at that time.
Okay.
All right?
That backspace is working
You
well,
gotta
right there.
delete that one there?
We can do anything we want.
Councillor Hyatt.
Yeah, I just have some questions for Tish. I think this is a wonderful idea, the whole parade ceremony thing. I'm just curious as to why you would pack up your tents, if you will, and move up to the museum. I mean, are you gonna lose people? I'm not quite clear on
I think the
that.
bottom, like, 'cause we did talk about the museum grounds, and of course, at the time when we were making our decision, where there was also the factor of the road being closed
Right,
down the culvert road,
yeah.
which I don't think is happening in our time frame now. We talked about the museum, we talked about the senior center, we'd gone to those places, we know what the capacity is for them. We didn't wanna have an invite-only reception. And our list of invitees is so huge that we were already over that capacity.
Right.
And we knew it was a big stretch to have people move, but we felt that it was the best option. It's a great place to be. We think we will gain more than lose.
I'm just thinking, you mentioned here somewhere about setting up a tent in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I mean, if your people are already there, why would you bundle them up, if you will, and move them to another location if they're
Yeah,
already
and, you know, the tent in the parking lot was really just because it is an outdoor event. And it was more related to some of our dignitaries when when they were coming, some of our veterans when they were coming,
Yeah.
having the tent at the Wixon's End closest to the street, just up behind the statue,
Right.
just as almost a gathering space if it happens to be pouring rain that day. That's what that
That's
tent
what that
was
would be.
for. And that'll be that's 10 by 20. It's not a huge tent. We're borrowing that
But
one.
if you were to do that, then you could concentrate your event at that location rather than
Yeah, and absolutely, we
everybody
talked
jumping
about
in their cars and driving up to the
100%,
museum.
we talked about that too, about whether, and then we looked that we were gonna be we didn't wanna be closing the road for, you know,
Yeah.
5 hours
That part
or
I
whatever.
understand, yeah.
That, and then we thought, okay, if we're not closing the road for that, do we really wanna be doing our reception for what we're trying to make a nice event
Mhm.
in the parking lot up behind where the statue is?
That, no, I-
The other thing that the museum affords is us the facilities, indoor facilities, to
Indoor.
be able to have all our exhibits, the Vimy to Juno exhibit,
Right.
all our Sam Sharp exhibit, the video in the church where people can be sitting at, and then the tent from Mr. Strawbridge of Shooting Stars for our reception and the place for milling and gathering.
So are you creating like a buffer time between the end of the ceremony and then going to the museum event? Is there like a
Yeah, like our
cushion there?
invitation, I don't have it written in stone yet. We know that we're, time-wise, we know we need to kind of be finished downtown from at about 7:50 at the latest, 'cause the sun's gonna set. So we've tentatively put 8:30 as a kind of an informal gathering time to have some words up at the museum at that time,
Right.
which will be part of the next,
It's just you're running into a whole logistic of parking up there and all that kind of stuff, so.
Yep, the parking, Oilies are on board to do the
Are they?
parking.
Okay, good.
I know one of the things we'd ask for is perhaps having, and again, you guys know your logistics better than I do, but barriers actually on Sixth, so we don't have people parking
Yeah.
on the Sixth concession at dark. We do have lighting that's arranged in consultation with Mr. Strawbridge right
So you've
from,
looked at all that stuff, yeah. that's-
yeah,
I just wanted
yeah.
to make you aware there could be
yeah,
transitional
absolutely.
issues, if I
Oh,
can
no,
call it
we're
that.
totally, even encouraging where we're encouraging people to park on the west side of town, basically the west side of the cenotaph.
Right.
I know we have to talk to, we wanna go talk to Second Wedge about parking around there. We wanna
Good.
talk to just the local,
Sounds like it's coming together, which is great.
yeah.
It's a lot of work, I can tell you, yeah. Thank you, thanks, Tish.
Counselor Malloy?
Thank you. Tish, I know you've already dealt with this, I'm sure, but did you get any pushback from anybody regarding the closing the road at 4:00? No parking on the road after 4:00?
No, Jill Minchell, I've got Jill Minchell on board talking to our merchants, thank you, downtown.
Okay,
Not yet, but they all don't know yet.
okay.
So that's why it was very important to me that it was gonna be a face-to-face. And
Okay.
Jill, do you know Jill?
Yep.
Yeah, Jill's a perfect person. She's on board to do that face-to-face for me,
Great.
and talking with
It
everybody.
doesn't say till what time, Tish? I guess it's
8-ish.
8:30, 8, around there, something like that?
8, yeah.
Alrighty, great, thank you.
Okay, just in, very quick dialogue with, Ben before he left for this convention, there can't be tent pegs put in the asphalt, long as you know that.
Okay.
So if you're going to, do your tent in Whitson's, parking lot or CIBC,
Okay,
yeah, they can't go into the asphalt, okay?
okay.
The other thing, put up the banner that you're talking about. Across
Okay.
the street,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. That's okay. I
Um,
mean, you know why I was thinking of it.
Yeah, exactly, and I
'Cause it was,
think it was such a great idea, but we don't have the poles.
yeah. No, we'll use it. I mean, I know I was kinda standing out in the street corner looking how much extended wood we have to have, but it's heavy linen. We used it at the gala. We will still use it to some capacity. That was my vision, that it would be across the street like it was 100 years ago.
Yeah,
But we'll work with that.
okay?
I have all these visions, of all this grandeur that
Well, I'm glad you do. So, going back to the motion, and that was to refer to staff, okay? And for staff to come back with a report to us by March the 5th committee meeting. It was moved by Fred Bryant, and it was seconded by Dave Barton. Can you is this your last one?
comment.
Okay, Amanda's away on vacation for 2 weeks, and I don't know when the curator actually starts, so, the 5th? Okay, so on the day of the report? Okay.
Okay?
I did meet with her too. I met with her last week, kind of as far as the museum stuff and envisioning what we were talking about, but she hadn't seen the letter that I'd sent to you, or, you know, the request for that in-kind stuff. We just talked about what the vision was.
We'll get through it.
Okay?
Okay, so we've got a motion. All those in favor? It's carried unanimously. So thank you again, everybody, for your involvement. We look forward to seeing this erected, and it's another milestone, in my humble opinion, for Uxbridge, and something that I'm very proud that people like yourselves have gone forward and made sure that this gentleman was recognized. And I'll tell you, it might be my dying breath, but I'm going to make sure that bus gets put up in the House of Commons too somehow, if I have to go down myself and protest. But yeah, this is awesome. Counselor, God, you just got demoted, let me tell you.
Mayor, I realize that at council meetings it's customary to hold questions till the end of the council meeting, but I wonder if you could change that rule just for this evening? While
Is it going to be a favorable story?
I'm sorry?
Is it a favorable story?
Oh, I don't know yet.
Well, I'll take my chances and let you ask questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Someone just mentioned a banner across the street.
Yes.
Are we talking about a banner similar to the one that's in the mural?
Yes.
To be erected, that's going to be erected across the street, is it?
Well, it can't be. We don't have the poles to put it there, but as Tish said, it's been at the events that they've held at the high school, and it will be erected or will be used somewhere as part of this ceremony.
And Mayor, you mentioned something about you can't put tent pegs in the asphalt.
Asphalt.
Are we going to have a tent on the municipal parking lot there during the unveiling? And
Yes.
What's that for?
As she explained to us, it's just for dignitaries or family members that will arrive prior to the unveiling.
And one last question, and I appreciate it, Mayor. I was wondering if Tish would like to share with us who the prominent person is that they've invited.
Probably not. Yeah, they're waiting confirmation. Okay? Either of the other press? No? Okay. Thank you very much for taking time out and sharing this great news with us. You're more than welcome to stay for the remainder of the council meeting, but if you'd like to go, we understand that. And oh, okay. Yeah, I see that. Okay, moving to the approval of the minutes, please. Councillor Hyatt, Councillor Barton, all those in favor? Carried. Correspondence, you have 4 items to receive for information. Councillor Bryan, seconded by Councillor Malloy. All those in favor? Carried. Items requiring action. Mhm.
Correspondence item.
Sorry, there's a
Just on,
question.
sorry, I'm losing my voice here. Just on that last piece of correspondence, do we know when the next OSIP, intake will be, Ingrid? No? It says this spring, I don't know what that means. Is it like March, is it?
We don't know.
Okay.
Okay. Mhm.
Correspondence item 17, AMO, recall for action, fire medic protection needed for municipal governments.
Mayor O'Connor, support that motion?
Yes, and I
It's
think
a big
we-
issue. It's a huge
it's
issue.
a huge issue, it's a huge dollar implication, and I think what we need to do is send that response immediately.
Yeah,
'Cause the deadline, if I'm not mistaken, is right away.
yeah.
Okay, so, everyone, do I have a seconder? Councillor, Bryan, all those in favor? Carried.
Correspondence 18, Region of Durham, West Nile Virus Vector Control Plan.
Just receive it, Mayor O'Connor.
Thank you, seconded. Councillor Hyatt, questions? All those in favor? Carried.
There's a confirmation, we have to send them a letter so we can spread chemicals.
What, yeah. Staff will do, staff will do that. Okay? We can support it if you want. It's just letting us know that you're going to be getting a letter. Do you want to support it then? Rather, the two movers?
Whatever works, whatever works.
Whatever works for you. Support or receive? Okay.
Correspondence, 19, Town of Essex reoffering school properties to municipalities.
Yeah, give me a break, anyway.
No, I won't accept that as a motion.
Well,
But- Are you suggesting receive for information?
I think that'd be fine.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Barton. All those in favor? Carried. That's dreaming in Technicolor.
It's unbelievable.
Correspondence item 20, Township of Norwich Ontario Building Code Amendments.
Mayor O'Connor, I kinda support this, you know, because they tend to throw a lot of rules into some of the legislation they put together, and sometimes it's just simply not applicable, and particularly when it comes to the building code.
Yeah, I agree.
Councilor
So-
Barton's over there.
Yeah.
Okay,
And just the counterpoint on that, I sort of disagree. If we're gonna bring our homes up to code for energy standards and, you know, a bunch of other things that will make them last longer, I think we should be open to suggestions from the industry and from our government.
I don't think that was the issue though in that letter, but anyway. Anyway, Mayor O'Connor, motion support.
support? Okay, do I have a seconder? Councillor Hyatt. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion's carried.
Correspondence item 21, Uxbridge and District Lions Club 2018 Uxbridge and District Voluntary Road Toll.
Seconded by Councillor Beach. All those in favor? Carried.
Yeah.
Correspondence item 22, Community Living Durham North 2018 Ultimate Race.
Okay, support? And are you supporting the use of the lots? Okay. Seconded by Councillor Bryan. All those in, yes?
Bar on that. I'm assuming they're probably gonna want the same type of thing that they had last year, which included, access to water, I believe access to electricity. They wanted access to the building, so someone's gonna have to man the municipal office again. I believe last year Councillor Ballinger did it, but, aside from that, if no one's available, then we'll have to pay someone to be here, if I can get someone.
Okay, so, who is going to offer to be here on June the 9th?
It was like 1 o'clock or 10 o'clock, I can't remember.
I think,
If we get stuck, I can certainly do it unless, I know Councillor Ballinger likes to, but I won't speak for him, but certainly if he won't, I will.
okay.
All right? Just if you can get some times for me though, please, Deb. Thank you. Yeah, we'll figure something out. Yeah, thanks, Dave.
All right. So we have, two councillors that have offered if, Councillor Ballinger doesn't wish to do it again this year. All right, and we're supporting? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Yes, we've done 23. Okay. Resolutions. Which one is natural gas? Okay.
On resolution number, just like on the natural gas one, item
Mhm.
number 56, or page number 56. If it's still possible, if we could add Eudora to that list, it's another fairly major center. We mentioned Leaksdale and Zephyr.
Yeah. Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
can I just add, I believe that that is the plan, once they've
Yeah.
gone to Leasdale, to go up to Eudora.
No, and Wagner's Lake was on there too. I just, the people in Eudora sometimes think that we forget about them.
I guess the only concern I have is that they've, for the last 4 or 5 years, produced lists of communities on their list that they present to the province of Ontario. So I don't know if we can throw an extra one in now. We know they're going there. I don't know if we can throw that into their resolution that they supplied.
Well, let's
don't-
put it in
And
and,
if they wanna take it out, they can take it out. Oh, it's our resolution?
Yeah.
Oh, well then, okay, that's fine.
yeah,
I'm fine.
Councillor Hyatt.
Can I just ask a question, I guess through you to staff on the third whereas, attracting new industry and creating jobs, more affordable commercial transportation, how does that fit in with this? I'm not clear on what that means.
I can speak to that if you want.
Did that wording come from somewhere else? Do you have,
I
do you have
can-
an answer? Okay.
So certainly, for agriculture, they use them for drying.
This
Natural
had a
gas?
lot to do with the drying process of, on the.
The agriculture I get, it's
Okay.
the two before it,
Oh, and for transportation, even Impact Auto
commercial.
in Sandy Hook, they use natural gas to fuel some of their vehicles.
Is that what the intent is?
That would be my guess.
Okay. It wasn't
Pretty general.
It wasn't
Pretty
clear there,
Yeah.
but, all right, thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion that's been duly moved and seconded, whereas municipalities have an annual gap of 4.9 billion to continue delivering today's services to our communities and to address critical infrastructure needs more proactively, and whereas access to natural gas infrastructure is limited in parts to the Township of Uxbridge, and increased access will provide more affordable and reliable energy. And whereas expanding access to natural gas within the Township of Uxbridge will create benefits to the unserved communities of Zephyr, Eudora, and Leasdale in attracting new industry and creating jobs, more affordable commercial transportation and agricultural options, and offering lower energy prices to residents, employees, and institutions. And whereas current fiscal challenges will continue to hamper financial sustainability and exacerbate property tax affordability issues for residents and businesses in Uxbridge. And whereas the lack of natural gas infrastructure in rural areas of the Township of Uxbridge is of serious concern as it limits economic development of both the industrial and agriculture sectors. And whereas the high volume of applications to the natural gas grant program exemplifies a critical need for this type of infrastructure funding. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Uxbridge formally requests that the Province of Ontario partake in an additional round of the natural gas grant program, with the funds being released from the Moving Ontario Forward 31.5 billion plan to invest in infrastructure, and that this resolution be circulated to the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Infrastructure, Minister of Energy, Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, Minister Responsibility for Small Businesses, MPP Granville Anderson, MP Jennifer O'Connell, and Enbridge Gas. All those in favor? Carried. Second one has been duly moved and seconded, whereas the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC, showed that Toronto's region's vacancy rate has hit a 16-year low of 1%, down from 1.3% in 2016. And whereas the Township of Uxbridge recognizes that there is significant shortfall in affordable rental stock across the region of Durham, and whereas actions to address the demand for housing, increased housing supply, protect renters and home buyers, and increase information sharing requires all levels of government working collaboratively, as well as both flexible and discretionary tools for municipal governments. And whereas the Township supports the new Provincial Development Charges Rebate Program that was introduced in Ontario's Fair Housing Plan as a way to stimulate investment and opportunities for increased affordable rental stock. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Uxbridge wishes to participate in the $125 million provincial rebate program for development charges in communities most in need of proposed built rental, and that Council designates the Housing Service Manager from the Region of Durham as administrator on behalf of the Township of Uxbridge for the development charge rebate program that has been established by the Ontario Ministry of Housing, and that the Township submit an expression of interest, EOI, to the Ministry of Housing, MHO, in accordance with the program guidelines, and that Council authorizes Durham Region to enter into a transfer payment agreement with MHO on the municipality's behalf, and further that staff forward a copy of this resolution to the Region of Durham and the Ontario Ministry of Housing by the deadline of March the 2nd, 2018. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, reports. Report PWO 13. Oh, sorry. Yes. We have a public meeting, so I will recess council and turn it over to Councillor Hyatt, Chair of Planning. And our planner, Liz Housen.
I'll call to order this, the meeting of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, and ask if there's any disclosures of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof. There being none, this is a statutory public meeting which is being held pursuant to the Planning Act, RSO 1990, to consider an application by the Township of Uxbridge under Zoning Bylaw Amendment 2018-01, Zoning Bylaw Amendment 2018-02 for 34 and 36 Brock Street West. The purpose of these applications is to amend the zoning bylaw to permit the construction of a new building or buildings for commercial and residential uses. The current general commercial exception number 2, C3-2 zone, permits only buildings and structures lawfully in existence as of November 13, 1989. The current buildings are proposed to be demolished to allow for the construction of a new culvert, and the subject properties have approved designations of Main Street or Main Central Area and Natural Hazard Area in the Township Official Plan. The subject properties are located on the south side of Brock Street between Toronto Street and Main Street, having the municipal addresses of 34 and 36 Brock Street West, and are legally described as part of Lot 587, Plan 83, Block PPP 40R 1047, Part 6, that's for 34 Brock Street West, and part of Lot 587, Plan 83, Block PPP 40R 1047, Part 3-5, for 36 Brock Street West in the Township of Uxbridge. Any person may attend a public meeting and make representations in response to the proposed development. All information, including personal information, opinions, presentations, reports, documentation, etc., provided for or at a public meeting are considered public records, pursuant to Section 27 of the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. This information may be posted on the Township of Uxbridge website and or made available to the public upon request. Questions about this collection should be directed to the Director of Legislative Services Clerk, Debbie LaRue, at 51 Toronto Street South, P.O. Box 190, Uxbridge, Ontario, postal code L9P1T1, or by calling the Clerk's Department at 905-852-9181, extension 228. The Township often receives requests for notification above and beyond what is required by the Planning Act. The Clerk's Department does not have the resources to respond to these requests, especially where the requests are general in nature. Therefore, if a request for notification is received by the Clerk's Department, they will notify persons as required by the Planning Act. And in addition, persons will be notified of any council meeting at which it is proposed that a decision will be made by council on an active matter, and no other notification will be given. The township has made available other ways in which residents may keep themselves aware of matters being considered by council. These include calling your ward councillor, checking the township website at www.town.uxbridge.on.ca, by reading committee and council agendas, which are available in the clerk's department at Town Hall, usually by no later than the Friday prior to a committee or council meeting, or by calling the clerk's department to inquire as to the status. Thank you for your cooperation and your understanding. So what we'll do first, our consultant planner, Liz Howson, will give us a brief outline of what we're doing here. We'll then open it up to questions from committee, and then we'll open it up to questions from the public. Take it away, Liz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You'll see on the screen the subject site, which is 34 and 36 Brock Street, which is on the south side of Brock Street in the main central area. It also has, in the official plan, an overlay designation of natural hazard area because it is in the floodplain. As a result of that, this site, together with the lands to the east and west and on the north side of Brock Street in this immediate area, are all in a special zone, C3-2, which basically allows the existing buildings but does not allow any significant change to those buildings. And the only changes are very minor, and they require the approval of the Conservation Authority, so building a carport, that kind of thing, because of its location. As council's aware, there is a culvert to be replaced under the buildings here and also under the street. That will dramatically reduce the impact of the flooding. As a result of that, we will be revisiting the C3-2 zone in its entirety as part of the review of the C3 zone, which we'll be undertaking and we'll be bringing to council before the end of June. In the meantime, however, because of the culvert construction, the building in this location, 3436 Brock Street, has to be demolished and will be rebuilt. The problem is that the current zoning doesn't allow that to happen. So the purpose of this application is to allow a new building to be constructed once the culvert's put in place and the building that's there is demolished. So that, in short, is the purpose. As part of that process, we have been working closely with the Conservation Authority with respect to any special requirements that have to be put in place, that can be put in place through the zoning bylaw, because there's certain things that they need to control which can't really easily be controlled through the zoning bylaw. So, for instance, they want the primary access to be onto Brock Street. That's not something you control in the zoning bylaw. You will control it through the site plan process. The same thing with parking. There will be a requirement for parking, where it will be permitted, how it will be permitted, will be something that has to be worked out with the authority. So the bylaw will control what it can control, and there will be a hold put on it so that we can continue to work with the Conservation Authority on the details of the application. The building also, of course, must comply with the building code requirements, so all the rules, which I think there was an allusion earlier in the meeting. There's a lot of rules in the building code, to put it mildly. Anyway, so this is the start of a process I think that's my point. This is the start of a process. It's to put regulations in place to allow a building to be put back once the one that's there currently is demolished. But there will be a lot of additional work that must occur with respect to the precise form of that building. So that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Liz. I'll open it up to committee. Any questions, folks? No? Not all at once.
What
Go ahead, Mayor Connor.
I just want to confirm what you've said is that this is only necessary to allow the building to be put back in.
That's right.
Right.
I just have a couple of questions, Liz. By removing it from the C3-2 zone, are you restructuring that whole zoning by creating a new zone, if you will? How does that work? What will the new zoning look like, I guess, is my question.
So there's two things that are going on. For this particular site, we will remove it from the C3-2 zone.
Right.
We will create a new exception zone for it.
Okay.
So we won't simply put it in the C3 zone and
Right.
let those general regulations apply. It will create a new exception zone. It will have a hold on it, which will allow us to work with the Conservation Authority to figure out exactly what should go in here. And it will have some special regulations in addition to the normal C3 regulations.
And that would be limited just to those two particular properties?
Yeah, exactly. But then there will be a process through the general review of the C3 zone, which will look at the rest of the C3-2 zone
Right.
now, or once the culvert's in, to revisit the current restriction, which limits it to existing buildings.
Right.
We don't believe that will be necessary any longer. So we'll be looking at, do we put it simply into the C3 zone as modified, or do we still need some special regulations in this area? And we'll work, again, with the Conservation Authority to make sure that what's in place will allow the owners more leeway as to what they do with their property, but still ensure that that there's any protections in place that need to be in place.
So once the culvert is in, the intent obviously to reduce or shrink the floodplain.
That's right.
What bearing does that have now on whatever the new zoning exception would be, or does it?
It will allow, well,
Different use.
basically right now, they can't do anything.
They can't do anything,
They
right.
can't do anything with their property except keep the existing buildings. That's all they can do.
Right, right.
So what we need to work with the authority on is there still some need for caution here? So for instance, can we put it in a C3 zone, put the lands in the C3 zone generally, but still have a hold on it and require the Conservation Authority to review anything that comes in? I don't know. We haven't progressed to that point.
Okay.
But that's the kind of issue that we have to resolve before we can come up with a general recommendation.
I think it's my hope, and I think it will happen, is once that floodplain is shrunk, if I can use a better word, reduced, it will not only increase the value of the properties that were formerly in that flood zone, but also create more possibility for development, I would think, in
Yes.
that area, correct?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. There's no question about that. It's just a question of how much and
So when
whether
people
there
ask
is.
us, why are we doing this culvert project? A,
Yeah.
it's to reduce the flooding, but
Yeah.
B, there are benefits at the end of it that are far exceed any
Yeah.
flood reduction, I think. Right?
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions, Mayor O'Connor?
I want to confirm one thing as well with you, Les, is that apartments are allowed in this area.
That's correct. And we've confirmed that with the authority.
I will open it up to the public. Anybody have any questions? Please come on up to the desk at the front or the podium. Nobody? If you could just give your name, address, and postal code to the clerk for the record, sir. Just put your mic on, sir.
My name is John Owen, and I have the pleasure of working with Uxbridge Shoes to help them with their reconstruction or new building.
Okay.
Just a couple questions. I know that the principal entrance will be off of Brock Street for each of the units, as well as each suite. So that gives you 3 doors. So they will be exit doors. We also need that at the back, because we have an exit tower, the same thing coming down from the rear of the building, coming down to the first floor level. Then we need 1 exit door from each suite. So again, 2 and 1 makes 3. So we need 3 3-foot wide doors for exit facilities.
Yeah, I can answer that because we did actually speak to the Conservation Authority about that because, and the concern that we raised is if you have a unit upstairs and then you have to only have an exit onto Brock Street, you have to go a very long way around to get to the back. And the key is that the primary entrance is off of Brock Street. That's what's key. There can be entrances at the back, but the whole idea is the back will still be in the floodplain, the front of Brock Street will not. And as long as they have safe access, if in the event of a flood, then that's what's key.
That's also key from a code perspective as well. Once you have 2 or more suites upstairs, for example, the apartments, each one would be a suite, you have to have an alternate means of egress from that level. So one at the front and one at the back. So that's it's imperative for that requirement. The other comment I just have, I've measured some of the information that we require from the sites, especially one side, the A of the page, occupancy. The basement is a little unusually deep. It's 15 courses a block, which is about 120 inches or 10 feet. So 10 feet and change below the finished first floor. So that's it's pretty low in depth, which is great for storage, that sort of thing. But I'm not sure if that's been addressed yet in the design. That'll be important for the CCAM support by drilling and the temporary shoring and the permanent shoring for the foundation on that side. And I'm sure it'll be a factor for the other side as well. Also, too, we've looked at the structure for that roof, and it's on the LePage side, and it's quite well made. It's structural steel, metal pan, flat roof. We're going to have to go in there and reinforce that structure as well. I'll be bringing my engineers in soon to look at that as well. As far as what the details are, it's nice that it is steel, it's more malleable, it's more flexible to reinforce, so that's the good news, to allow for the additional snow loading that we're going to put on that roof.
Connor?
Yeah, just a question, and thank you very much, John. There's a basement under this?
No, there's a basement next door.
Oh, next door, I'm sorry.
Under A LePage.
Yes.
But the level that we're going to have, if anything at all, for our side also impacts on that. So if you have one level lower, and ours now comes up to be ours, Uxbridge Shoes, the Uxbridge Shoes higher,
right,
then the angular oppose that load will put on that wall, it tries to find that lower level, it's pushing that wall over. So it's directly an impact on our design for our structure as well. So again, the sooner that information is obtained or vetted through the process, it's good for all parties.
Okay, thank you.
And you said your engineers are coming in shortly to...
Yes, in about 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
They should work with our engineers, and I think there's been a number of engineering details that have actually gone out to John from our consultant, just to make sure they have a better handle on what this is going to be. So we just need to make sure we keep that open communication.
Great. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? Comments? No? Okay, I'm going to give 7 days for any information to come in, letters or otherwise. Any persons who want further notice of the passage of a bylaw should give their full name, address, and postal code to the clerk prior to leaving the meeting tonight. We also have an item of correspondence here. Can I get a motion to receive that, please? Councillor Malloy? Do we need a seconder, Deb? No? Okay. All in favor to receive? Carried. Thank you. Is there any other business? There being none, I will adjourn this planning meeting and pass it back to Mayor O'Connor, the council.
Thank you. Going to bylaws, we have, reports, we have 2 here. One from, report PWO 1318 of Ben Kester, Director of Works and Operations, re-temporary parking, Brock Street Culvert Construction. Councillor
Mayor
Malloy.
O'Connor, let's make a recommendation that we support the recommendation.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Councillor Bryan. All those in favor? Carried. Good thing I didn't say what I was thinking. Report CL 1418 of Catalina Blumenberg, Deputy Clerk, re 2017 Municipal Ombudsman Annual Report. Move recommendation, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Bryan. All those in favor? Carried. Bylaws. Bylaw 2018-02. Who has them? Thank you.
First and second reading confirming bylaw, moved by Councillor Bryan, seconded by Councillor Barton, that leave be granted to introduce bylaw number 2018-029, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its regular meeting of February 26, 2018, and the same be read a first and second time.
All those in favor of first and second readings? Carried. For third?
Third reading, moved by Councillor Bryan, seconded by Councillor Barton, that bylaw number 2018-028 be now read a third time, finally passed, and the Mayor and Clerk duly sign and seal same.
All those in favor? Carried. Under unfinished business, we have piece of correspondence from Michael Barrett, Chair, Durham District School Board, and Gord Baxter, Trustee, regarding clarification regarding recent changes approved by Durham District School Board concerning water activity procedures. Councillor Malloy.
Mayor O'Connor, just move that we receive it. I think
Thank
it's
you.
all status quo according to what he's saying.
Seconded by Councillor Beach. All those in favor? Carried. Under other business, we have a report from Amanda Ferrero, Director of Parks, Recreation, Culture and Tourism, request for road closures for the 16th Annual Huck Finn Youth Fishing Day on April the 28th. Support. Seconded by Councillor Hyatt. All those in favor? Carried. The Township of Uxbridge Council will be going into camera to deal with matters related to the following: 2 items related to proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality, 1 item relating to personal matters about identifiable individual, including municipal and local board employees. And we also have another one relating to the litigation, a potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality. Okay, and we need to know who is doing the radio tomorrow. Gord, you're scheduled. Who can do the radio tomorrow?
Well,
I'm
the policy that we adopted from Councillor Barton was whoever doesn't do it will be the next person in line. If you're 5, it would be you, Mayor O'Connor.
Me. Okay. All right. No, then I do it 2 weeks in a row. Okay. All right, thank you. I will deal with it. Okay. I need... Press, do you have questions before we go into camera? Moya.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I know it was about the zoning tonight, the public meeting, but is there a plan in place for rebuilding the township building that's in that address there?
Yes, there is.
There is,
Yeah,
okay.
but it's not going to be built by the township.
Okay.
It's because the building that John Shoes owns and is in now has a basement, and that basement cannot be built. So he's taking over what is ours, or the community, the youth center now, in lieu of the basement.
Okay.
Okay, so there will be 1 store on ground level with no storage. The storage will be part of the ground level now. That's
So-
why we're dealing with the 2 addresses.
So there will be one building there?
Yes,
In place of the two that are there now, is that
that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have anything? No? Okay. Thank you. I need a motion now to go into camera, please. Councillor Barton and Councillor Bryan. All those in favor? Carried.